Hello, my name is Chiara Contó. I'm a student at PUC do Paraná, and I'm here to talk about why my blog is about rock music, literature, and history. Well, it all starts off the fact that I am a listener student. It means that I can bring record information by sounds and voices rather than images or touch stimuli. And I found music as a great source of information. And the part of rock and roll that was started with my father, that is a music freak just like me. And I can recall the exact day that it all started. I was 2 years old when my father brought home a DVD of the British invasion. What is the British invasion? It is a wave of rock bands that got number one in the United States. So it was the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Animals, Herman Hermits, and them all. And for a 2-year-older Chiara, it was the greatest thing of all. Four mop top guys singing yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was the turning point of my life. I was 2 years old and I can remember it exactly, everything from such an event that it was. And I started to listen to this CD of my father's non-stop. Non-stop. It is the collection of songs that scored number one in Billboard all throughout the band's history. And as I grew older, I found music as a source, a literal source of information, useful information that I could use to learn English, to learn history, to learn literature, geography. As I couldn't remember quite well the images, I couldn't remember quite well the words, the written words. So I would use it to remember what was going on. And there's one day that I remember exactly, that it was in a history test. During this test, there was an extra question that was about Napoleon and what was the importance, the main thing about Waterloo. And I was listening to a band that my mother is a super fan of. That is this one here. I am almost sure that every one of you know this band, this Swedish band, ABBA. And they have a song about Waterloo, in which they say exactly, Waterloo, Napoleon meets surrender. So I just answered the questions saying Waterloo is important for French history because Napoleon surrendered in the Waterloo battle. And I scored the point of the test, and I aced the test because of this extra question. So this for me was something super. Everyone started to ask, how do you know this question? And I just answered that I knew because of the song by ABBA. Everyone laughed, everyone found funny, but it was a way of myself learning what was going on with the world currently or in the past years. And you might be thinking, I am a student at the university, what do I study? I study modern languages. And you might think, why not music? This also has to do with music. It also has to do with rock and roll. It was when I was around 13 or 14, I started to listen to a band that I've known since I was 6. The band's called Europe. It's also Swedish. And I was researching on the internet something about the band, and I just noticed that the name of the guy was a little bit weird, the name of the vocalist. His name is Joey Tempest. Not a common name. And I researched it on Wikipedia because there I was a teenager, and then I learned that he's a super fan of Shakespeare. He got his artistical surname from the book The Tempest. His true name is a full-on Swedish name. I don't remember. But I have the album here with me to show you. And I said, if he likes it, I must go and research and see if it's truly good. And I researched it about the book, and I read some books by Shakespeare, and I totally fell in love with British literature. And after some while, I found this information again about Joey Tempest, the singer from Europe. And I came across the fact that he is actually a post-graduated guy in British literature in Shakespearean era. So it was another major turning point in my life when I got to know that both Beatles, the Beatles band, it was all related to language. John Lennon was a German teacher when he was growing older. When he was around his 18, he used to teach German. Joey Tempest from Europe, he's post-graduated in Shakespearean era. So it all influenced me. I learned that I couldn't study music, study the lyrics, study the poetry behind it all, not studying music. I actually fell in love with the fact, the words, the meanings. And it's actually modern languages. That's why I'm studying modern languages. And you might be thinking, this is all weird, this is all super crazy. So let's do an exercise. What do you think is the similarity between the punk movement and the hippie movement? What does it have in common? I'll pause the video, think, and I'll tell you the answer. Okay? Do it. Now that you thought about it all, I come to you with the answer. Both hippies and punks just happened because of Cold War. But the hippies came from the United States. They were an American movement. And they were all like, stop war. And the punks, they came from British culture. And we have to understand the fact that because of World War II debts, Britain had kind of like an obligation to send men to war, to the conflicts of Cold War. And the punks were actually protesting against the fact that they were forced to fight a war that wasn't even theirs. So they kind of were rebelled against that. They were trying to explain the fact that, hey, this is not our war. We have our own problems. Solve it yourself, America. So this is the fact. Hippies, they came from Cold War too, but they were like, stop war, United States. We're all humans. Because they were kind of fighting people against government. And the punks were actually Britain against the old debts to America. See how you can learn literature, you can learn poetry, you can learn context, geography, it all with music. So here's my history, my story to you. I hope you have enjoyed this video and that you begin using music to understand the world around you. See you next time.